But if the person is above you,
Well,
keep quiet.
that's why the box stops.
So you keep quiet.
Yeah, the man's response.
Isn't that in fact what happened
The
here?
man's response. Just a minute.
Isn't that in fact what happened here, Mr. Jatta?
As you have just reported, I believe that must have happened. I did not rule it out.
The thing is, the entire government machinery was used to cover up this thing.
That's what I was telling you. I had not ruled out that I was undermined. You see, Council, here is one thing. We commander senior officers are very careful of losing our moral authority. You see, if I use my men for a bad job, one day, within the soldiers, I'll account for it. That's why we try to avoid.
Okay, let's make progress.
Okay.
Okay, you left the combos knowing fully well that it's been alleged that your men were there shooting at students.
They did tell me.
When you went to State House, did you inform the Vice President that, well, you've been told that your men were there shooting, and inquired as to who may have deployed them?
No, I did not do that.
Did you, after that, make an investigation from the troops that you have in the vicinity, Fajara Barracks, Yundum Barracks, and so forth, as to whether there's been any deployment of troops?
I asked, they said no deployment was made.
Baboucarr, who did you ask?
The commanding officers, the men who command the men, the commanders who command the men.
Are you sure you did that?
I really asked, I said, here's a situation.
There is no such thing in your statement.
Okay. No, I tell you, I can't have everything as you wanted it.
No, but Baboucarr, isn't this important?
Look, it's very important, but I'm saying, now that you have some information regarding to it, if they had taken me,
give us
we would
names.
have amended all this with the investigators.
Give us names of the people you asked.
The commanding officer was always Vincent Jatta, the late Vincent Jatta. Cherno Jallo is at Fajara Barracks. At that point in time, those are the people. The Navy were never out. They did not come out at that point.
No, we know the Navy was not involved.
Yes.
Okay. Cherno Jallo, where is he?
He's working with the UN.
He's not available.
In Darfur. No, he was fired.
The commission would make up its mind on these things. But I want to give you the opportunity to answer, react to this. You did not do anything about that accusation, that your men were there in the morning firing their weapons.
It should be a separate investigation or questioning of my men. But I did not take it. I took it lightly.
Exactly. You did not do anything about it.
Yes.
So this issue about I called my commanding officers, I spoke to my deputy, it's just a cover-up.
No. I need to inform them of what happened.
But the reality is you did not talk to them about this. Thank you very much.
But I did also I visited the scene at the PIU and so on. And I was trying to ask some people, especially the Red Cross, where did those bodies lie? Because we want to know where the 13 bodies, 11 or so, 2 were from the Kamaba area, not so. The rest of the men, where did they pick them?
When did you do that?
Immediately after.
Immediately after when?
Not on that same day. I came out to find out.
Subsequently?
The Red Cross picked them.
After all this?
Yes, the Red Cross picked them.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for being so interested in how many people died and you went out to find out. But the fact of the matter is, when you were told your men were there shooting at us, you did not make any inquiry.
I'm sorry for that. I'm very, very sorry for that. That was a very important thing.
You should have done, but you did not.
Sure,
so when you told us earlier than you did, it was just a smoke screen.
Yeah, I don't know, sometimes maybe, you see, when such damages occur, there's always panic and confusion within our system.
Are you panicked now?
Right now I'm not panicked, but on that day I was panicked when
Okay.
that thing happened.
Thank God, so that you are not panicked now.
Yes, and things are coming to light.
But be careful how you answer questions.
Okay.
Because to the same question, you would give two completely different answers.
But that's why you are my guide.
No. Well, I am trying to guide you to be truthful, but you are guiding yourself to falsehood.
No. Whenever you fire one question, I can see some kind of light at the end of the next question.
And that's
I say
why...
yes. You see, now I'm trying to piece together.
Let me advise you
Your
one
questions.
thing. Don't develop a tactical approach to answering my questions.
Okay.
Just speak the truth.
Yeah. For sure,
Because if you take the former, we would catch you lying.
So, for sure.
So you did not tell
Investigate.
Baji, your deputy, you did not tell the commanding officers that you received an allegation that your men were on the ground shooting.
No, I didn't tell them for sure.
Thank you very much.
For sure.
So now let's progress. The next day, your men went to the ground.
Yes.
They participated in activities. And thereafter, you told us that you should do some after-action review of what happened, correct?
Yes.
Did you do that?
I did that.
And then a report was produced, correct?
By the commanding officer.
Yes. Correct?
But I wonder whether he really stated the real after-action review procedure.
When do you wonder that? At that time or now?
When immediately I got his report, before getting his report, I said, prepare your report. Before getting the report, then we got this message that there will be a commission of inquiry.
Mr. Jatta,
Okay?
this event occurred on April 10th and 11th, correct?
Yes.
And soon after that, under military protocol, you are required to do your AAR, as you call it, after action review. Correct?
Yes.
Did you do it?
I did it. You know what we do? We used to have quarterly return. You ask for immediate returns of arms and ammunition in the various forms. Security of personnel, security of information, security of equipment.
And how about the security of the civilians who you came into contact with?
For the actions.
Yes.
Then we start to get a report. But the report on Westfield did not reflect.
So did you do a report on Westfield?
On Westfield.
Where is that report?
Check the headquarters.
Well,
no, not in this. Not in this. They did not ask for it. It's, here, I'm telling you, here's a situation here where we got a little bit confused about the whole investigation. I was told by the CJ that they were interested in a major event at where students lost, they had casualty.
Yes, because
But if there were something like an information to say, your men shot at Westfield, that would be another investigation.
Yes, because that fact was hidden.
Yeah, and he did not also ask for any briefing prior to.
Mr. Jatta,
Yes.
that fact about the participation or involvement of your men at Westfield was hidden.
Sure, for sure.
So they would not have asked you to provide information on that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. You did not do any report on Westfield.
On Westfield, there was a report.
Okay. We would ask the army to
Please.
produce it.
Please.
Mr. Chair, we would write to the army today and ask them to produce this report that Mr. Jatta is talking
I
about.
said there must be a report.
There must be, or there was?
There must be a report.
There. No. Was there a report, or there must be a report?
I had prepared a report during our short briefing. We wrote something. and then we intend to send it even to the Ministry of Defense.
Okay, we will take a look at it.
Please,
all
take a
right.
look at that. Yes,
But
yes.
we know that for Farafenye,
Yes.
for the other operations, there was a report.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. But before we start talking about this report, I want to ask you whether under Army procedure you did the after-action review.
Yes, at the unit level, coming to our level.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you did your after-action review, did you see the report?
The report, he sent the report to me.
And do you believe that the report was accurate?
I saw so many shortfalls.
When
And
did you see those shortfalls?
It took time before we got the report because the operation was not completed with them. We kept some men at Brikamaba when I was told that they will be sending investigators there. They have to remain there for security. But initially, I wanted to go to Brikamaba myself. That's what I should do. If for nothing, I have the intention to meet the relatives of those victims. But
what
now,
I am
so
talking
after the
about,
bill, by the time it came, I got a message now, the matter is going to be, there will be a commission of inquiry and the investigations will be done by the commission.
when did you hear that?
I used to go to the CJ.
I'm not even talking about that. What I am talking about is internal within the army itself. Did you do your after-action
Yes,
review?
after action review.
And you said you saw the report.
We prepared a report.
Was the report correct?
To what I saw, but then now as we talk, it doesn't go well.
Answer the
not
question,
correct.
was the report correct?
For me, I was satisfied with it.
You are satisfied with it?
Well, because up to that point, nobody told me that you had a casualty.
Okay. So that are you impliedly accepting that the report did not say that
State.
there was a casualty?
No,
You saying that?
for sure.
Okay. How about the use of bullets?
No, that one we know. That's an SOP.
What did you know?
If you send out men, all I have to do is tell me how much ammunition has been used.
And your after-action review showed how much ammunition was expended.
Yes, then the RQ will compare to what the RQ has issued, or where the unit ammunition has been issued. We used to have, other than emergency operation, we used to have quarterly returns. We call it quarterly returns of arms ammunition. Every 3 months, they'll tell you. As for quarterly returns.
So after this operation, you did your AAR, you knew how much ammunition was expended.
Yes, please.
And from your recollection, live ammo was used.
Yes.
And from your recollection, your men were in fact involved in killing civilians.
Well, as you said, they were involved.
You agree?
I will agree.
Okay. And you were told that a commission of inquiry would happen, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, besides your men being involved in killings, they were also involved in arresting and torture of demonstrators.
Yes, at Birkamaba. Or even here, during the arrest, it's always a scuffle. But now here, it's...
But you knew all these things before
Yes,
the commissions of inquiry,
yes,
correct?
I know that during the arrest there will be a scuffle and the boys will use force.
But you knew all these facts.
Even without being on the ground.
But you knew all these facts before the commission of inquiry.
Well, yes.
Good. Thank you. And the commission of inquiry, you were called as a witness?
I was called. But we had 2 sessions.
Just hear me out.
Yes.
did you tell the Commission of Inquiry that your men in Birkamaba were involved in killing civilians?
We did not reach there when they cut me off.
The question
My purpose
is,
was to tell them.
we are not talking about your intentions. You see, now you can have whatever intention you want in the world. The question is, did you tell the Commission of Inquiry that your men were involved in killing civilians in Birkamaba?
No.
Did you tell the Commission of Inquiry that your men were involved in arresting and torturing civilians in Birkamaba, Janjambure, and Basse?
No.
Did you tell the Commission of Inquiry that your men were in fact using live ammunition on the civilians?
No. The reason being?
Just answer questions.
Yes, no.
Just answer questions.
No.
Wouldn't that be a fundamental omission to the Commission of Inquiry?
I did not even reach there during the commission.
But
No,
the
yes,
issue
just
is,
accept.
wouldn't that be a fundamental omission?
Listen to me here, please, Council. I need to explain something.
Please go ahead.
When the discussion started at the commission, like how I'm facing you right now, 30 minutes into the discussion, Ndongo Fall, led by Ndongo Fall, had a serious problem of questioning.
I beg your pardon. Ndongo Fall is not late. By the way, he's my brother. He's sitting at home and probably watching.
Oh, Gamsu, Gamsta. Okay, sorry. He had a serious problem with the chief.
And may he live long.
May he live long. He had a serious problem with the Chief Justice, and they were arguing among themselves, right there under the public eye. Mrs. Awasisi Sabali could be my witness. He was the student's lawyer.
But that
We did not reach to
answer-
that. I was told to go home.
Yes,
go
but
back. You will come back later.
that does not answer my question. Okay.
It would have come in.
Let's do it differently. Your office submitted a report to the Commission of Inquiry, correct? And the report was supposed to be a detailed account of the deployment of your troops, correct?
Yes.
Now let's see what you have to say in the report. Page 221 of Exhibit 83, Mr. Chair.
Bring the paper for me. This was that of 2 Infantry Battalion. Yes, this is that of 2 Infantry Battalion.
Yes. So you would agree that,
Piketa.
okay, this is a report from written by one of your men.
By commanding officer.
Yes.
Yes.
So essentially it is a report from the Gambia National Army.
Yes, please.
And as the commander of the army, it is your report.
That's my report, yes.
Yes, the chair, they have seen this before. Yes, so kindly give it to Mr. Jatta. I want you to read the last paragraph of the report.
The conclusion of what?
Last paragraph, yes.
After the 1 week later, a check on the first line of armor of soldiers from battalion headquarters who participated in the operations was conducted and all confirmed to be intact.
And what does that mean?
That is to say, not a single round was ever fired.
Isn't that a lie?
That was a lie.
But you knew before this report that this was a lie.
I did something about it.
What did you do about it?
I went to the CJ and I said, by virtue of this report, there was nothing written on this. Nothing said about what we want from this report. And I said, this is the first time the commanding officer commands a unit, and it was the first time he has to write, allow us to conduct investigation in one form. I will send my ballistic expert to the ground. I will send my armor expert to the ground. I'll send my tactician, and I'll send my quartermaster to the ground. They will help him gather all this information. But I was told this is an investigation for the Commission of Inquiry. They will conduct their own investigation.
Mr. Jatta, with all due respect, you submitted a false report to the Commission of Inquiry.
Yes.
And yet you went back to that same Commission of Inquiry and you told the Chief Justice that, well, this report I have submitted is false.
Before the Commission of Inquiry.
This is what you want to tell us?
Yes, I personally went to him to show him that we are not happy with this report. Allow us to go down to the ground and prepare a better one.
Did you write to him to
I
withdraw this report?
I went in person.
Okay, let's do it this way, Mr. Jatta. Before this report was submitted, you knew it was false.
I know that there was nothing and it was false.
Yet, you allowed the report to be submitted to the Commission.
I don't want them to see me interfering. That's why I took this to the Chief Justice. Because if Jatta was put under pressure, he may say, my initial report, I was dictated.
Baboucarr.
They said they are going to conduct their own report.
It is
quite different from that of the military.
It is easy to now sit here and try to not own up to the mistakes.
I do accept any mistake you tell him, but I want you to explain some aspects. That's why I'm explaining.
But how do you explain this?
Convince
the Commission that you submitted a false report knowing that it was patently false in every material particular. Yet you turn around and went back to the same person to whom that report was submitted to say, hang on, my report was false. And then you sat there and you saw the report was relied on and put in the Commission of Inquiry report. You did not do anything about it. You intended to have the Commission misled. You intended to have the Commission believe the contents of this false report, period.
Do I comment? When I got this report, it came earlier than the Commission. I went to the CJ and said, I have a report from my officer, but I'm not satisfied with the report. We went through it. And I said, I prefer.
So this report came before the Commission started?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went to the CJ before the Commission started and told him about the problem?
Yes. That allow me.
Okay. Just answer the question. Yes. And yet when the Commission started, you took this report and submitted it to the Commission? I am lost. I am confused.
Okay, here is the situation.
But Mr. Jatta, we have to move on.
Yes, for sure.
Let's leave this for the Commission to decide.
Okay.
But I put it to you that this report was part of the government cover-up to falsify facts about the situation.
Yes,
True or false?
True.
Thank you very much.
Now that nothing came out of it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to explain what action we thought could have been taken. You see, whatever comes from the TRIC here, I believe could be a recipe to rectify a lot of things. That is my approach.
Yes, and
this is the ground.
And tell me whether I am wrong. What we
you are right. You are right.
What we have learned here is that the army falsified a report as part of the government cover-up.
Okay, that's right.
You lied in the report about there being no casualties. You lied about there being no torture. You lied about not even using live bullets.
We use live bullets.
See? So this report is a complete cock and bull story.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do I have to make a comment?
Yes, you may comment if you want, but we have to move on.
And I want to say here, When the CJ said, we are going to conduct an independent investigation of whatever happens anywhere, we were convinced. That's between me and her. During my hearing, it was only 30 minutes. They ran into trouble and they told me that you'll come back later. They never called me back. If we had gone to that level, I would have made it clear that there was something wrong. I don't know what Bayandunga Fall was trying to emphasize, but he couldn't have his way with the CJ. And I was told to go back, just 30 minutes into the inquiry.
So, Mr.
I was never called. Then all of a sudden, let me just allow me a time. Even keeping my men down in Brikamaba, when they came, they did their inquiry, they did not inform me that they are ready. They were ready. Until I have to go back, and they told me, oh, sorry, we've been to Brika, we've got our information already. Get the men out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jatta.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, it's 11:30. We should take our first break and return in 30 minutes. And Mr. Jatta, maybe you would have this short period to gather your thoughts and prepare for the last session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Council. Thank you, Mr. Jatta. We'll take a 30-minute break, come back at 12 noon sharp. Meeting is adjourned. Welcome back, everyone. Council, are we ready to continue? We are, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Jatta, welcome back.
Thank you.
I hope you have rested well and have gathered your thoughts.
Quick.
Let me remind you again, Mr. Jatta,
Okay.
that we are here only to seek the truth about what has happened. And I think you would serve yourself well if you just stick to answering questions and speaking the truth instead of trying to be smart in your answers, because that could potentially land you in trouble where no trouble needs to come.
Okay.
That is just an advice. It's your choice to heed it or not to heed it. But I think it would be wise if you just stick to the truth. You understand?
Okay.
You have accepted that the report that was submitted to the Commission of Inquiry was a false report. You agree that it was false in the sense that it does not indicate that there were civilian casualties, correct?
Yes.
You would also agree that it was false in the sense that it did not show that the military were involved in unlawful arrests, tortures, and detention of civilians, correct? Mm-hmm. Just indicate your answer by saying yes or no.
Yes.
Thank you. It was also false in the sense that it suggested that your ammunition was intact when lots of live rounds were fired on civilians.
Yes.
But also, the army failed in its responsibility to deal with some of its men who have committed offenses, correct?
Okay. Yes.
In fact, 2 of the soldiers who were deployed at Birkamaba testified before the Commission of Inquiry. Mm-hmm. And the person who led the operation, Corporal Kamara, testified here. Mm-hmm. And he indicated that in fact he told the commanding officer that there were casualties. So the failure to include that in the report is also a fabrication.
Fabrication, correct.
So you accepted earlier on that this is an army cover-up and intended to mislead the Commission of Inquiry.
So,
Now, with regards to the personnel, nothing happened to them absolutely, nothing whatsoever.
up to that time, no.
The army suggested that something happened to them, but Corporal Njai, or Lance Corporal Njai, who was in fact involved in the shooting of civilians, was not called even to testify before the Commission of Inquiry.
He was not called.
Didn't you find that odd?
Odd. Yes.
It was. So, in fact, that should lead to the conclusion that there was an attempt to ensure that the Commission did not get to the truth of what happened.
Yes, please.
I mean, considering that your men participated in shooting students at Westfield area, considering that your men accepted before this Commission of Inquiry that they killed civilians in Birkamaba, arrested and tortured them, making them to lie on the hot tarmac, and we all know how hot it could be in Birkamaba area. That is torture.
Yes.
What do you say to the families of the victims?
I wish to apologize to what happened to the relatives. That's the victim and the relatives of the victims at Birkamaba.
How about Westfield?
And everywhere, Westfield, on the behalf of the
Basse
army,
and Janjambure?
all over.
In fact, do you know that somebody died soon after release from Janjambure prison?
It was not to my knowledge.
And in fact, there was another person who died out of complications soon after their detention at Janjambure. Mr. Chair, I want the Commission to take a look at this newspaper article, The Independent, dated 23rd to 25th June 2000. It's the section I want is what killed Bamba Jobate, late Armitage student. I will move on in order to save time.
Okay.
Once the document comes back to you, Mr. Chair, we would ask to tender the document as part of the evidence. So, Mr. Jatta, the deaths arising out of April 10 and 11 are not in fact 15, but could be more.
Yes.
At least by my count, if you include this one and the other person who died out of Janjambure prison, there would be 17 people who died.
Okay.
And there may be more.
More, yes. Yes.
What do you say to those families?
I wish to say to that family that I'm very, very sorry. I do apologize for the wrong thing we've meted onto their families, friends, and relatives. It's very disheartening to see a neighbor or a human being in person, a person whom you are meant to protect, rather turn against him. This was one thing. I wish to apologize also to the entire armed forces, to say sorry to all those who are put into these problems. For the simple reason, We have an SOP, but unfortunately this came at a time when we are so unprepared. It was all rush. We walked out of panic, and you know, out of panic, the consequences is always disaster. I want my fellow soldiers to recognize that.
Mr. Jatta, were you all not consumed by your blind loyalty to the then head of state, to the extent that you would do anything?
It affected all of us in all form. Yes. In an situation where, imagine, a couple can even report a general.
Could you explain that?
A couple can report a general, they got to be fired. I cannot fire a couple. Oh, sorry, louder.
Yes. Draw the microphone closer to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I, myself, as the chief of staff, cannot even fire a sergeant major, much more a private soldier.
They said you should push
back.
The microphone a little backwards.
Okay. How about that?
Oh, okay.
Or lift it up.
Yes. Okay. We need to hear you.
Okay,
you are
okay,
Army
okay.
Commander. Project. Speak
Okay,
up.
sir. Okay, my command voice.
Yes.
For sure, you'll get that one.
Yes, go ahead.
We were entangled in a situation where we felt that maybe the way things were going were not right. If a couple's job could be given to a general, and a general's job be given to a couple, what do you expect? Chaos and confusion. We attempt to keep that army very regimented at the onset. And I think that was the agreement between me and Yaya Jammeh. I will be on your left side. Whatever goes wrong, I will tell you this is wrong. And my duty is to make him proud. Was to make him proud. But then such incidents coming doesn't tell well. In fact, they have created an environment where we started distancing ourselves from him. And I don't think in
from
any
who?
administration, pardon me?
Who were you distancing yourselves from?
We were distancing ourselves from the president, and it should not be that order.
You were distancing or you were closing yourself?
We are distancing. We're on your own. But the beginning was very nice.
But Mr. Jatta,
yes.
That is not how you became CDS for 10 years.
I mean for that matter. But I finally got fired.
Yes.
Fatigue. Physical and mental. Imagine
because you were fatigued, physically and mental, so you were fired.
No, yes, for sure. It could
Are
happen.
You serious?
Yes. The beginning, where were the senior officers? I had only second lieutenants to start with. Few officers, Captain Jara, Captain Coker, 2 officers, and myself. The rest are subalterns, second lieutenant. I'm telling you, that's why we started with this army.
It must start from somewhere.
Yes, for sure. And somebody must take charge.
Yes. But what I am saying is, all of you were consumed by your blind loyalty to Jammeh.
For sure.
You would do anything. And
okay.
for April 10th and 11th, all of you were busy, involved in a big, massive cover-up.
For sure. I do accept. But here is a situation.
So let's finalize this issue of Bamba. Take a look at the document. Could it be sent to him?
Who is Bamba?
You surely would not know him because you are not at Janjambure.
All right.
But your officers who were deployed to Janjambure were responsible for his arrest, torture, and detention, as a result of which he died soon after he was released from Janjambure. Could you read the headlines?
Yes, I need not read this. I saw this.
You saw it before?
Alaji Yero Jallo. I used to visit Alaji at the Independent. Alaji Yoro. He alerted me on this.
You learned about this story?
Yes, from
Okay, could you stop it there? Mr. Chair, may we ask to put the document in the evidence? It should be Exhibit 0087.
I saw that.
Request granted. Thank you.
So you knew about this story?
Yes, when I saw them, I started assuming that this thing is going to just keep on. This casualty will keep mounting.
So when did you learn about it? This thing happened in June.
Mm-hmm.
You learned about it at around that time, right? June?
Yes. And there were orders being written on newspapers. We used to pay attention to newspapers.
Do you realize that this death is not recorded in here?
Yes, because what I also observed during this inquiry here, people coming, giving their report. Initially it was a civilian. Then later part it went to 2.
Don't understand.
Initially we thought it was 1 civilian that we shot. Later part it became 2. When we say when is this going to end, it could be 3, 4, 5.
And the reason for that, of course, Mr. Jatta, is that even within the army you did not do your own investigations when you should have.
Yes.
So that failure on the part of the army is in fact your own failure.
For sure. Operational failure.
Yes. And even in military law, Mr. Jatta, as a commander, you know that your subordinates have committed offenses, didn't you?
Yes, for sure.
And you did not do anything about it, correct?
Yes.
And that by itself is an offense.
I do know.
You know that?
That was why I keep them in Brikama, telling them that I am coming in passing.
But you never did.
Yes, but it was overcome by the inquiry.
But even with that, don't you think that within the army itself, the inquiry was a national activity, correct? But within the army itself, wasn't it necessary for you to conduct your own investigations in order to know how to deal with your soldiers?
For sure that was there.
You did not investigate.
I know. I gave all the instructions to the commanding officer.
You
That's a
did
procedure.
not investigate.
We know. Yes.
The question is, did you or did you not investigate?
We did not investigate, but we know this what happened.
So you had killers among your men, but you did not even identify them as killers.
We were expecting the Commission of Inquiry to assist in that.
Well, the commission did not.
That's what I'm telling you. There's some default also on the side of the commission.
You knew, you said you were expecting that the Commission of Inquiry would do that, correct?
Yes.
But you knew when the report came out that the commission did not.
Yes.
Did you do anything about it?
I dare not go across the commission.
You dare not do anything
From
about it?
my point of understanding, the commission has conducted its investigation. I turn around and conduct my own investigations. In fact, even when it comes to punitive actions, they were not very clear with that.
Who was not very clear?
The commission.
What did you understand them to want?
We expect, like in the case of those who misappropriated the ammunition, they should have recommended, said, put them on court-martial. That's what we want. But if we said they need to be punished, how?
What is court-martial for?
A court-martial is a military trial within the military.
For what purpose?
For offenses.
For what purpose?
For any offense like...
for trial and punishment?
Yes. But if they had said that...
Just listen to yourself, Mr. Jatta. You said the commission just said they should be punished.
How?
They did not say they were to be court-martialed. But you know very well, Mr. Jatta, that the whole purpose of a court-martial is for trial and punishment. The fact of the matter is the government slapped an indemnity law to prevent the prosecution of your men because they did the dirty job for the government. Isn't that the truth?
That's the truth. But the commission turned
So,
again.
so you sitting here
Yes.
telling us you were expecting that the commission should have said punish them by court-martial, that is just.
But they turned
That
around.
is just not true.
Okay.
That was never your expectation.
Yes.
Because you knew these people will never be prosecuted.
Okay. But they turned around and said Njai should be demoted.
Who said that?
Did it appear in the commission? Look at the commission properly. I think they said something like Njai's demotion.
Was he demoted?
He was demoted. I expect the commanding officer to do that.
Did you check whether he was demoted?
I sent a note to him.
Uh,
In the
Njai
first place, please,
okay.
let's just verify what was in the report there. What's in the report there?
Well, you are telling us that you sent a note asking for Njai to be demoted.
Just on the finding of the...
Is that
commission.
true?
Yes, that would be on a situation report.
Is that true?
I did that.
Okay, let's look at the findings.
Okay.
And
I had something like that, very close. I can't remember by now, but I could still remember something like that. Some action was to be taken, and it was taken.
let me look at the recommendations. These are the findings. It says Corporal Lamin Kamara and his men should be held responsible for the deaths and injuries through gunshots at Bir Kamaba. Lieutenants Samba Balde and Wasa Kamara also arrived after the main melee and confusion. It is our belief that those two army officers and their groups were responsible for torturing. We hold them responsible for inhumane and degrading treatment, which is unlawful and should not be tolerated. But there is a section in the report which says what should be done to them. I will take a look at that and we would revert to you. I think I have found it. Here it is. It says, we recommend that Corporal Lamin Kamara, Lance Corporal Njai, Private Lamin Kamara, Private Paul Mendy, and Private Aliu Kambi be prosecuted for the deaths and injuries suffered by victims at Birkamaba. So it does not say demote.
Let's see what the Lance Corporal was about there.
It says we recommend that Corporal Lamin Kamara, Lance Corporal Njai, Private Lamin Kamara, Private Paul Mendy, and Private Aliu Kambi of 2nd Battalion Farafenye be prosecuted for the deaths and injuries suffered by victims at Birkamaba. And you know what your government did?
Indemnity.
Exactly, precisely. So there was no time in which you sent an order.
No, it was there. It was
asking for the demotion
it was
of
there.
Njai.
We acted.
Okay.
Outside the commission.
The second recommendation that affected your men is the two groups of soldiers from Basse and Kudang under the command of Lieutenant Samba Balde and Lieutenant Wasa Kamara respectively should also face disciplinary action for the inhumane treatment of citizens at Birkamaba. Even this one, the indemnity, deals with state action. But even this one, this minor disciplinary action within the army, you did not do. True or false?
True.
You did nothing, absolutely.
In the first place, why punish one and leave the other? So when the indemnity came, we said, this is just clear everybody.
When you told the commission that you wrote a letter to the commanding officer asking for the demotion of Njai, that was
No, I did not write to the commission.
To the commanding officer?
Before the commission. 2, there was also misappropriation of ammunition.
Did you write to the commanding officer asking for the demotion of Njai?
One Njai.
Yes.
I think if my memory serves me, now it's almost 19 years, but something must have taken place. Because even the commanding officer himself suggested that the one who misappropriated those arms and ammunition must be handled.
But it is that same commanding officer who said that the ammunition was intact.
It was not intact.
So the thing is, Njai testified before the commission,
Yes,
and he said he was never called to be asked any question. He was never asked anything at all. The first time he ever talked about having been involved in the killing of the civilians was in that very chair you are sitting.
When he came here.
Yes. Does that surprise you?
That surprised me.
Well, why are you surprised when the whole army was involved in a cover-up?
Well, let's call it a cover-up, for sure.
So this so-called recommendation to have him demoted is also another lie before
I would have punished him twice. I said, I think, I've not read this document
so
since.
you're just telling us what you think,
That's
and
why
not
I
what
said,
you know.
I wish if I had read this, I would have adjusted myself.
Yeah, and that is why I told you your approach is dangerous. Stick to the truth and not calibrate your answers on the basis of what you think we have.
Okay.
That is dangerous because it means you are prepared to tell a story to align with what we have instead of the truth.
Okay.
So if I had a document showing that you knew that 35 people died, you would probably say yes.
Okay.
So speak the truth. It
The
is
truth is
only
coming.
the truth.
But
that
the only
will set
worry,
you
my
free.
only concern is, if I had read that document, that would have given me additional impetus to stand properly. I would have said, I didn't do anything.
Mr. Jatta, just
No,
stick
let's
to
just
the
accept
truth.
that. Is it a crime to show me the document in the first place? Let
No,
me
I
ask.
am showing you the documents.
No, I mean at the investigation site.
Look, it was
Because
not necessary.
we discussed this with the investigator on that operation orders. They reminded me of what happened. I said, no. My own deputy, Colonel Baji, who is the present National Security Advisor, wrote that on my behalf. It was like he said he did not write. I said he wrote. And I was even telling them to say, ask him what was he doing over the period. He wrote. Now is it he wrote.
Let us not go to irrelevant
No,
issues.
some things are coming. If I had seen that earlier on, it would have been very good to me. Now, not until I saw this that I have countersigned it. So, Patton, I take the responsibility for whatever goes wrong in that document. I was the commander. They are working for me. So,
my point about that document is that what you have told us of what the facts were as at the time the document was being written. And what is contained in the document is false.
So for sure, I told you, I expressed to the investigators earlier on about my finding from the onset.
Okay, can you tell us, Mr. Jatta, why was it that your office acted in the way it did? Why did you generate false documents?
In the first place,
Yes.
when it was mentioned that this is going to the Commission of Inquiry, hands down. To me, initially I thought maybe the Commission would not believe me. But I thought I can block that document and tell Keita, look, no, let's go over procedures. But it did not happen. And I sought the advice of the CJ. He said, we are going to investigate on our own. I said, we will be available when we need us. Because we can give you some information on the arms, ammunition, and also the state of the personnel. He said yes. It never happened. I went to the commission, 30 minutes, I was told to go home. Go back, we'll call you. Up till today. We did not go into the nitty-gritty of matters when I was told to leave. Because there was a quarrel between... let me
that
explain.
is not
Very
helping us,
important to me.
Mr. Jatta.
Yes, I was telling you,
Look,
if we
that
had
does
gone
not...
through the commission,
just
maybe there
hear
would
me
be
out.
some explanation.
Just hear me out. Whether there was an altercation or disagreement between Baindongo Fall and Justice Latte does not explain why you delivered a false document to the Commission of Inquiry.
I would have blocked that. I was told to submit it.
Okay, Mr. Jatta, who told you to submit it?
CJ.
He told you to submit a false document.
No, he did not read it. I said, I have a document here which I'm not very happy with. He said, look, we are going to conduct our, whatever the case may be, bring it. Now, going to put pressure on the officer to tell him that,
Jatta,
change your document. I will not do that.
Okay, we would move on. You have talked about this document, and you unwillingly submitted a false document. That's what you want us to believe.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The Commission would make its own findings on that.
Okay.
So what just on the issue of April 10th and 11th, you have agreed that the evidence shows that your men were deployed in the morning at Westfield. They participated in shootings. You have also agreed that you were ordered by the Vice President to deploy your men to go and quell the student demonstration. You indicate yes.
Yes.
Please don't indicate by shaking heads. Just answer to the proposition.
Yeah.
You also have accepted that your men participated in arrest and torture of students.
Yes.
You accept that your men participated in the killings of people, civilians in Birkamaba area.
For sure.
Arrest and tortures in Janjambure and Basse.
Yes, please.
You have also accepted that you generated false documents. Answer yes or no.
Yes or no? Yes.
Sorry.
Confusion.
You have also accepted that the document that was submitted to the Commission of Inquiry reporting the activities of the Army was patently false.
Yes, please.
Good. So now you have also failed in your responsibilities as commander of the Army to deal with the men that participated in the events of April 11th at Birkamaba area.
Okay, yes.
You failed. You agree?
Yes, I failed.
Good. So now I would put aside 10 April and move on to another topic.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, let's talk about the death of Usman Korosise. We don't have much time. What you have to say about that is a bit limited. Tell us what you know.
Let me see, I have the dates here. Let's assume that you feed me with the date. I don't want to open up the file so fast.
Just, you can open whatever document you want.
On a particular day when we got to learn about an incident around Jambur area. And that this involved a Mercedes-Benz being issued to ministers. Then
how did you get that information?
I got it from the DGNI.
What was his name?
Sambaba, late Sambaba. He told me to say, let's go there. I said, okay, I'll follow. But he was there. I forgot to mention one name. Tatimbaji was also there at the scene.
Okay, proceed.
So we went to the scene. They arrived before me and waited for me. And when I came, he said, okay, now I'm going to give you an assignment. Go around and assess what happened to the vehicle and come. So I went around, starting from the road there. It was muddy in the rains, maybe early rains or so.
We would underline that it was muddy. There were pockets of water, right?
Yes. It looks as the vehicle went like that, down into a drain by a culvert. So the first thing I observed was, I believe in the rain, if the vehicle has, the front wing has a turn, there must be some little form of splash.
Could you say that again? Some little form of?
If the vehicle was running at a particular speed, no matter what, if you have to bend at that joint, that the wheel must throw some muddy water, mud, plus. So as a
or splash, yeah,
plus,
of mud, yeah.
Yes, I looked at the plus, it didn't go long distance. But then I said, could it be at top speed or normal speed? I went down.
You have lost me. I cannot see the connection between the speed and the splash.
Yeah, maybe that one, yes.
No, explain yourself better.
Yes, I observed that one. The splash was
not... observe?
The splash was not far away from the wheels.
So you suggest, and what would that imply to you?
It implies that it could be he was driving at a very low speed, whatever the case may be.
So the vehicle would not have been speeding?
Yes.
All right, proceed.
Down the gully, by the culvert, on the side of the culvert, the impact. The first impact, we have some stains of paint. But where it stopped, we have dents on that side.
How big was the dent?
The dent was not that much, as compared to real accident.
So are you suggesting that this was not a real accident?
No, traffic accident. No.
Was it a real accident in your view, or was it not?
To me, to my point of view, it was not a real accident.
So you want to tell us
I expect the dents to be bigger than that.
Okay, proceed, please.
I went to the front of the vehicle, you know, the front mud guard. It was a little bit in. I expect that if driver has turned at speed, maybe the front bumper would have been deep inside, deeper. Then on top of the roof, it was some dents also. Then I said, I don't think a minister will hold on to a dented vehicle without repairing it. Whoever had this vehicle would drive this vehicle without observing these dents.
Okay. So from what you say,
yes,
do you think those dents could have been obtained through a vehicle having somersaulted?
No. If it had a somersault, then maybe we would have seen it skating.
So there was no somersault?
I don't know why it happened. Okay, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So it was like something is wrong, because we saw the charred body in the vehicles, no limb, no legs. A little bit of the intestine came out, but I can't remember whether the head was there or not. But the limbs were not there. And the vehicle was set on fire. So that small accident...
Set on fire.
Yes,
that is what
down.
You say?
Yes, set on fire.
That sounds like a deliberate activity.
Yeah, so... Are you really sure that...
But how could you say that? How could you say the vehicle was set on fire?
It was set on fire, and this guy, the deceased, was inside. I believe if that was a heavy impact, it could have caused that. The impact itself, I felt maybe this was too light for this man to be unable to get out of the vehicle.
From everything that you have seen,
yes,
what was your conclusion about that so-called accident?
Almamo Mane was making noise that this was sabotage.
I am not asking you about what Almamo said.
I knew that it was also sabotage.
What kind of sabotage?
What was that man finding there at that time of the day, morning?
You tell me. You are here to answer questions.
Yeah, I need to go, yes. So when we investigated towards the end, we discovered that it was Korosilla through the operative. Korosilla, not Korosilla. Through the interoperative. They called somebody on the ground to tell them that this was Korosise. So I took the phone. I had my kind of Jamano. Those ones been tested earlier on with Gamtel. And I called Edward.
Edward who?
Singate, then the acting chairman of the AFPRC. And I reported the situation to him. I said,
Tell us what you said to him.
I said, well, we have found a vehicle here. Now it is confirmed that it belonged to Koro, a Mercedes-Benz. But then the color, you can't see the color.
Time of the day was this?
This was around between 8 or 9. It was in the morning,
And this was the day after the vehicle got missing, or Koro got missing?
I don't know when it went missing, but this was information going around.
How soon after that did Yaya Jammeh travel out of the country?
He went to Cuba, or where? He was not in the country.
Yes.
Yes,
But
he left.
was it the day after, or few days after, or weeks after?
That night he traveled, daybreak, this happened.
So very
Because
early.
I was with Koro at the airport.
So it was the next day that you saw the vehicle?
Okay, after the night, we call it that night, but it's the following morning.
Yes.
Yes. We were at Koro at the airport.
Would you say that your group was the first line of government officials to be there, to go to the scene?
No, I don't think so.
The question is, were you the first government officials to go and visit the scene officially?
I don't think so.
All right.
We were not the first group.
Okay. But you were there around
Yes,
8
yes,
or 9?
Yes.
In the morning?
In the morning.
All right. So, or at this stage, do you know whether at this stage Mr. Edward Singate was informed about the existence of that Mercedes-Benz at Jambur?
He could be informed by other means, but I also felt as the chief of staff and the head of the military, I was with the DGNIA, it is our duty to inform him.
Precisely. But do
Yes.
you know whether the DGNIA had already informed him?
I don't know.
When you were there with the DGNIA, did he say anything about informing Mr. Singate?
No, he did not tell me.
Are you sure about that?
We were standing there when I made the call.
Did he suggest that you make the call?
No, I decided to make the call. I said, let's call the vice president, chairman.
What did he say?
He said, okay, go ahead.
Did he tell you that he had already called him?
He did not tell me.
So as far as you knew at that time, Singate was not informed by the DG?
Could be he knew, but I have to inform him. But not the DG.
Listen to the question.
Okay.
The question is, when you told Mr. Sambaba that you are going to call Mr. Singate to inform him, what belief did you have? Did you believe that Singate was already informed by Sambaba, or did you believe that he was not informed by Sambaba?
No. I believed he was not informed. If he told me that he has informed the then vice chairperson, there was no need for me to call.
So when you were informing the vice chair, you believed that at least from that group, you were the one reporting to him for the first time what had happened.
For the first time, yes. I should
So
think
tell us about the conversation.
I told him about what we found on the ground, as I had just reported to you.
Just tell us what you told him.
Yes, I told him that, well, we are at this site, but we have observed something here. We observed the splash of the mud.
Baboucarr, I want you to tell us what you said to him.
Exactly.
Exactly, precisely.
Yes.
As far as you can recall.
Yes.
Okay, don't summarize things. Tell us what you told him.
Yes, I told him that we are at the site.
You see, you are still not answering the question.
We are at the site of the incident.
You cannot just call somebody, hello, Deputy Chair,
I
we
have
are at the site of the incident.
Compliments.
Yes, tell us what you told him.
The oddly received the phone.
Yes, which oddly?
Marong.
What was his first name?
I don't know. But he is an oddly or...
Okay, proceed.
Yes.
Would it be Lamin Marong?
He handed, it's an oddly to Edward.
Would it be Lamin Marong?
Sort of soldier.
Would it be somebody who was called King Kong?
Somewhere at the bottom, we
Okay,
don't know these
proceed,
names.
please.
So he handed over the phone to Edward. After the compliments, good morning, sir. I informed him that we are at the site of this. There's an incident here that has happened.
Which site? Did you mention the
At
place?
Jambur. Around Jambur. We said there's a vehicle here, presumably a Mercedes-Benz, which has been engulfed in an accident or so. I told him that the vehicle has been burnt, the driver has been charred, no limbs, nothing. There was some dents, the splash here was not much, and we assumed it could be some form of accident here. He said, what was the guy doing there? I said, do I know? He said, okay, let's wait until the president comes.
Listen carefully.
Yes.
Listen carefully.
Okay.
At this stage, did you tell him who you believed that person to be?
Yes. When we got the information, I said that we believe that this could be Koro. But initially, I told him that initially we don't know. But now it's confirmed that this is a minister.
I don't understand. I am lost. You are on the phone with him.
Yes.
You told him, you said initially you did not know
I don't
who
mean
it was.
initially to him.
Pardon?
I said, here's an accident. But then we are trying to, the security are trying to, NIA are trying to find out who this person was. But before we left here, before we call you, it was confirmed that it was Koro.
Koro who?
Sise.
Did you say what Koro's position was?
Finance minister, then finance
Did
minister.
you tell him that?
I told him Koro Sise. Yes, we know Koro as finance minister. Those pencils were issued to ministers.
What did he say to you?
He said, okay, let's wait until the president comes.
That is exactly what he told you.
That's what I could remember. And the chairman comes.
Did he appear surprised?
No, I don't. Sorry, it could be because I was not seeing him.
That's why I asked.
Maybe through his reaction on the.
Did he sound surprised by the information you gave him?
Yeah. Initially he said, yeah, something like that.
And apart from yeah, what else did he say?
He said, okay, let's see. When the chairman comes, we'll see what we can do.
And that's all?
That's all.
Okay.
So let me go ahead.
Go ahead.
In fact, it happened that on a night before, the president was traveling. Could it be in the morning or let's say before midnight? Or I think it was after midnight. I don't know. The president was traveling outside this country. I don't know what I've written. So we stood there. You know, he has been very nice to us. On that day, Saftu Job, the press officer at the State House, was by my side. Koro was in between us. Sorry, he was on the other side. Koro was in between us. And it was the day he informed me that I'm going to raise your maintenance vote from 400,000 to 1.5 million. And we joke over it. And he told me, what's going to be my rank? I tell him I'll give you general. So he took my pickup. It was drizzling, and I said, okay, you put on it. And I stood without a headdress. But before then, I used to go to his office. The first thing he was telling me, let us revamp that Army Engineering Corps.
Mr. Jatta, we want to talk about things that are relevant to his death.
Okay, fine. So when this happened, we got a little bit devastated. We left. Then I think communications went.
Did you sense any problem between Koro and members of the government at the time?
At that level, no. I didn't sense anything.
All you know regarding Koro's death is you went to the scene and this is what you found and you reported to...
From a layman's point of view.
Yes. From a military commander's point of view.
Okay, fine, that's the right
And
one.
then you reported your findings to the acting chairman.
Yes, of the AFPRC.
of the AFPRC, and he said you should wait until Yaya Jammeh returned.
Yes,
Correct?
yes.
All right. So by that, you expected that the vehicle and the body and the remains would all be left there until Yaya Jammeh returned.
I don't know where the communication was got to, but finally the vehicle was removed, as I heard from the IG.
But from your conversation, that is what it implied, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So now let's leave the issue of Korosise.
Okay.
Now let's come to the issue of the junglers.
Yes.
The junglers were created whilst you were still CDS, correct?
5 years.
In fact, your brother was one of the first junglers, correct? And what's his name?
Malik Jatta.
And he, in fact, has confirmed participated in several jungler activities. And during your time,
Yes.
he participated in several killings by the junglers, correct?
Okay, yes.
But while he was a jungler, he wasn't going to work like other soldiers, correct? And you were CDS. Did you do anything about it?
I didn't do anything about it, but I believe he was under command.
What command?
He belongs to a unit. That's the State Guard. If in the early morning muster parade, an officer is found not being present, I believe the unit should do something about that.
Who should do something about
The
it?
unit commander at the State House.
But if the unit commander does not, shouldn't the superior officers do something about it?
I have been asking for now and then. I do ask him, are you not at work today? He said no. But you know, so most cases, when I was
But
serious,
Baboucarr-
I do go only on weekends home.
But Baboucarr, you knew he was not going to work.
For sure.
You knew that that was wrong.
It was wrong.
You knew that for any other officer, that person would have been charged with AWOL.
Absolutely. And beyond that, desertion.
Exactly. And desertion is a very serious offense in the military.
Yes.
Yet you did not do anything about it.
I, for one. The unit should take that responsibility. And I was talking to Bajinka. There was a time I used to talk to
Baboucarr, the unit commander failed to do something about it. And you knew that the unit commander did not do anything about it. Did you, as commander of the force, do anything about it?
All I can do is I said, I didn't find out. But at that point in time, if that was the problem, I really don't know. That was a problem, I really don't know.
But you are the army commander.
I am
You
the
had
commander.
command and control responsibility over
And,
these forces.
and yes, I do know. But it's not my duty to go down to the bottom level and start questioning about private soldiers.
We know it was not
I can
your
only
duty.
question his commanding officer. Sorry, or OC.
Baboucarr,
Yes.
military law is, command responsibility is very, very simple.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
You knew that this soldier of yours was not going to work,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
You knew that these were disciplinary offenses in the army. You knew it amounted to AWOL or at
Desertion.
most desertion.
Yes.
You knew these were offenses.
Okay.
You did not do anything about it.
Yes.
You knew that his superior officers, who happened to be your subordinates, did not do anything about it. The army kept a blind eye at what was happening, correct?
Yes.
It was a deliberate effort on your part not to say anything. You all decided to stay mum.
For sure.
And that was all part of your blind loyalty to Yaya Jammeh.
Yes.
You knew this was a hit squad doing Yaya Jammeh's job, but none of you would lift a finger and say anything about it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have no further questions for Mr. Jatta.
Okay.
Thank you very much, my counsel, and thank you very much, Mr. Jatta, for coming to testify before the Commission.
Thank you.
Before I turn to the Commissioners, if they have any questions to ask you, just want to ascertain from you that your testimony yesterday and today, would it be fair to say the revelations that came out of that really have been accurately summarized by counsel, and what's your perspective on that one? That summary was lies, lies, and lies, and a massive cover-up by almost everybody who was involved on the investigation, the handling of the April 2000 event. Would you agree with that? That's an accurate summary of all of you. Lies, lies, and a massive cover-up by everyone.
Yes, please. Yes, I do agree. I do agree.
Tragic. Thank you. Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor.
Baboucarr,
Yes.
my question is, I remember Njai admitted firing 104 bullets. At least that one has been accounted for. But he also alleged that others also fired bullets, live bullets. And yes, the indicators by your statement in the commission, you said it is mentioned that all the 5 of them should face some form of punishment, meaning the other 4 are also culprits regarding the firing of live rounds. Okay. Have you been able to establish an inventory of the total rounds that were fired by the other 4 so that we can add up to and establish the total amount of live rounds that were fired at Brikamaba?
For now, by now, I may not be able to recall what action was taken, but we know that after every action, you need to counter-check what you have and what has been expended, and we expect that report to come. So when I saw in the report that he said everything was intact, that's not possible. I said no. So now,
could you kindly speak into the microphone?
So now, at this commission of inquiry, now it has proven that even more was expended than what was said. The accountability of ammunition was not perfectly done.
Okay. My second question is about Korosise.
Yes.
You told us you aren't sure whether the head was there or not.
Yes.
But you told us the limbs weren't there.
They were not there.
About the limbs, were you only referring to the hands or even the legs?
Even the legs.
Weren't there.
Weren't there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Carr. You have the floor.
Thank you. My question is just a little clarification. In your testimony yesterday, you recounted that while you were moving around Africa, there was a student leader whose name named Musa An.
No, not a student leader. He is an employee of Central Bank.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because from witness testimonies, the name we had was Omar An and not Musa An. So
no, I know Musa An in passing.
Oh, so it's different?
Yes, he's a brother to Pamodu An, Major An.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Imam Jallo, you have the floor, please.
Witness, you said that whoever gave the order to shoot must be above you and not below you. Can you list out for this commission the people who are above you?
Above me could be the minister, the vice president above me, the president is above me, but under me, I have the rest of the troops. My deputy was there, the president, security advisors, my commanding officers were there. If they had given is not the suit. They have done it on their own accord, and they know that's a court-martial offense. Because we have reached a stage. If we have to go through the normal process, I should be fired. Likewise, how the DG was fired, how the IGP was fired. But along the line, they spared me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jatta. If you have any concluding remarks, can you proceed?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor. That's an Englishman says, if you want to see a sport, come under the spotlight. This is what really happened. We were very worried well before the commission. And if I tell you that I was happy with even that report, I thought we did not contribute much to the last commission. So it has opened up a gap. And for these circumstances, it is we, the commander, who will always fall victim when issues are around us who are not made clear. May I also reiterate that during the Second Republic was marked by civil disobedience. Imagine a coup d'etat, overtaking a government, and a constitutionally recognized government was overthrown by the barrel of the gun. So we didn't expect things easy on a silver platter. With time, we get to realize that we are going for the worst. We do know, because events started popping up like that. Solution, we don't know. We were not even prepared for this coup. And even during the coup, so many promises were made, only to discover that they couldn't be fulfilled. So problems all over, all over. In the first place, what aggravated the whole thing was that rewarding soldiers by rank. We are all couples. We got up early morning, I'm a lieutenant, you are a couple. You still remain as a couple. How would you work? That esprit de corps was not there. So we are faced with a problem. 21 days over, when I was finally appointed, we saw this problem. But I advised them that you cannot reward a soldier by rank. If you want to do so, buy something and give it to him in appreciation. But then here is a situation, a coup. We are opening up ourselves to other coup d'etats. 4 months later, it struck. I insist that to kill those students was the wrong way. The military has its own way. Arrest them, take them to a court-martial. If they are found guilty, go to the Supreme Court. Because at our court-martial, we have a judge from the CJ's office, a civilian judge. And our national DPP will sit for the state. It will go back to the Supreme Court for analysis. If they confirm that, yes, they are guilty, the same court will tell us how we're going to execute these people. Not by saying guilty and you go ahead. No, they will tell you whether you're going to inject them by lethal injection, shoot them by firing squad, or hang them. They will tell you. And once that is confirmed, a day before that, the Attorney General must read the verdict to the victim. There must be an imam, there must be a pastor to help them read. In the American system, they said, give them their last meal. Even if you have to execute them, their relatives will pick up their bodies at the mortuary. But what happened has triggered serious instability among ourselves. We know that coup d'etats have some characteristics. One, precipitatory retirements will always come. Banning of the constitution and having decrees, ruling by decrees, while nobody's been consulted. We know about suspicion. We know about a lot of killing. Even financial transactions are always neighbor's threat. We know about this. So this is the environment we found ourselves in. The rule of thumb is we are all answerable to one man. That's the president. But I used to tell people, the president is our president, you and me, I. He is our chief executive, you and I. But he is our commander-in-chief, not your commander-in-chief. So this is the situation. And the army is always married to the commander-in-chief. When I say married, answerable to only one person. The Minister of Defense is just a liaison officer, I would say. In operational matters, we face the commanders-in-chief ourselves. So over the period, we have seen instances that brought about even the growth of this so-called junglers and so on. This was in 2003. I left in 2004. The death of this journalist, how do you call it? Point newspaper journalist, Jatta Hydra. By then we were not in the government. But we have decided to take one path with my former deputy, Samsidin Sar. We are going to stick to this man and advise him as much as we could, keep him on the right path. There were so many things we did for people, we don't want to mention it. You see, if you know your boss, you know how to handle him. But we know, Jammeh also has his own problem too. Maybe he's not even communicating it to people. And he thought aggression would solve the problem. Anytime you move aggressively towards your people, you're creating a lot of problems. I decided not to have any affairs with civilians. Why? In the Farafanya attack, the civilians arrested this boss and handed them over to me. So we operated as a team. In the Katong attack, Samsidin Sar, my deputy, went to Yundum barracks and he said, go on this July 22nd ceremony. I am taking over, but I'm going to sit in Yundum. And he came to say, informations were coming from the civilians. Now, if the civilians see us slaughtering these people, tomorrow would they defend us? They will not. We know all about psychological warfare. We were in North Carolina, and so on. We know what it really meant. But then at the bottom of the ladder, awareness, sensitization, or professionalism was not there. When you advise a head of state, he takes it or he said no. That's left to him. But the repercussion will always surface. And you are made to be accountable. Imagine 17 years they were telling me that you shot these students and you are telling them that, hey, fire, fire, fire. But today, it was all clear. Even if my men has to shoot, I take the responsibility, but I was not alone. April 10 has caused big divisions among we the security. That same morning, I was not talking to the DG for what he did. And I said, I was trying to cover up the IG. We've been working hands in glove with the police. We want to learn from the police. We want them to learn from us. But when I send some officers to them from the police to come and learn the way the army operates, 3 days later, they all quit, except one man, Musa Mbub. Thank God when the incident in Farafanya happened, Musa was the commissioner at Kerewan. Come and see what he did for us. We were so pleased. But when it came to decorate him in appreciation, they said no. So all these things are never arranged in the, as we may expect. We face that. Our families were running into problems. I don't see my kids sometimes 21 days. I have to sit at home on a Sunday to see my kids. It's affected us. 10 years I have never gone on leave. Mr. Chairman, I said today, if there were to be another coup, count me out. 2, even we thought that our lives is going to improve, they didn't improve. Only a few people whose lives were improved. This is a lesson for us. A professional soldier doesn't got involved in coup d'etats. But when they coup d'etat, you see professional officers trying to stabilize the situation. And as we said, we did all that we can do to stabilize the situation. But our problem sometimes could be the State House. Let me be honest with you. They will not go on course. When it comes to rotation, as the council said, I told them that you have to rotate these soldiers. In between them, I can rotate my brother and others. But why should I take my brother out and leave others there when we sense that there's problems? You see, if we maintain that rotation pattern, there wouldn't have been much problem. But how can one man stay in the State House for the rest of his career? That's a problem. And the CDS cannot do anything about it. And when the president mock us, you say, Oga, ranka dedi. Well done. You are fired, you will not know why you are fired. You will not know what you have done wrong. Is that not insecurity? So please live peacefully within the Gambia. This is a very small country. And if you think you can touch civilians, you are making the worst mistake. A man stood in front of my vehicle telling me that, I don't know what to do with him. I gave him $200. He accepted giving away. Was that not a wise thing? But if I have to follow my instincts, I'm going to beat that man. We have seen incidents when officers themselves shot civilians. I will call and say, this guy is dying. Come and see him. He'll take his last breath. The man will never do it again. We will rush him to the hospital and make sure that Jeff got him. But on the other hand, we are able to maintain a good PR with the civilians too. They are our authority. They are our civility. Despite all the people you see on our soldier up to here, you cannot pass the permanent secretary.
Mr. Jatta, you can start summarizing.
Yes, fine. This is a moment for me. Give me, please, chance. You see, that was why we said we have to involve the army in civil-military relationship. Look at the RVH. The children's ward, we did everything for them. Patching the road from Banjulindin to Kafuta, we did everything. I went to Libya and came with the tar. This was all based on what we were talking with Koro. But God said it will not happen. But we are also being stigmatized. Imagine from prehistory, the military, we've never had good names. Our reputations are so bad. But now, I am telling, pay attention to them. If you have a child in a family and disregard him, he would be a troublemaker. We thought that when the July 22nd comes, we are going to enjoy. And we did not enjoy. We had the worst. Mr. Chairman, on a final note, on behalf of the entire armed forces, I want to apologize to each and everyone. In fact, I have one of the patients here. If I would, hey, counsel, please. You see, he has forgotten me. There's a guy here who is a victim. Please bring him. Let me say sorry on behalf of all that who are victims. Please, can you do that?
There are more victims out there waiting,
Yes,
so talk to them.
Please.
Talk to all of them.
Yes, I am very, very sorry. I'm very touched. But on the other hand, I want to say thank you very much, the commission. If it were not you, I will live with this. I did not come to myself. They did not call me. I said that in the FATU network that I will appear in the commission because I know that this commission cannot avoid me. If the truth has to be exposed. When Damfa came to me, he talked to me so nice and he said, well, we had this, you say you will be prepared to come to the commission. I said, I'm very willing. But if you think that this commission is a joke, because you are never affected, you are never in that ditch, shit like how I am today. Sorry for that. But today, it's all coming out. At the end of the day, the soldiers are hearing all this. For the council, lead. You see, I wanted one thing, you do one thing for us. You see, if you handle a soldier well, at the end of the day, tell him that under this section you have caused this offense. I want them, you tell them murder, what section does murder belongs to. That will really say, and they will keep in their pockets. Those in the barracks will know what's going on. And that will deter them from any other thing. Do you know what happened when this Farafanya attack came? I told Vincent Jatta, stand by, you are going to go. Hey, sir, you cannot make me get up this early morning. Next morning they said it's a coup. So we have our own problems too. Until Peter has to say, look, I am going to do it good or bad. I say, I trust you. And we stood by the people, involved the people, civilians. We play football in Farafenye. And now here's a situation where people who are talking, sometimes when the former vice president comes, we cut out of things out of him, we had a good time. We give him a good card of honor at the terminal. And he calls us by our names. The relationship now is all gone. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for putting me here today. I may be very serious what happened. But this is the moment I have to tell the whole world. I have to tell you, those armed forces, be careful. I have gone through one mistake. Don't let it be repeated. I should always say, never again. On the last note, I wish to thank you very much for giving me the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Jatta, for those remarks and also for coming to testify before the Commission. We will take a break and come back at 2:30. Council, is that okay, or what do you have different plans on?
Maybe 2:05.
I beg your pardon, sorry?
2:05. Prayers should be 2 o'clock or a little before 2. So, because if we do not start that time, we may not be able to finish today. He
So
probably would finish late.
We resume at
2:05.
2:05. Fine. If we take a break now, let's resume at 2:05. You can go pray and pray and pray for everybody.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Meeting is adjourned.